Week 2 of NFL Draft Daily is officially upon us, and we have a great crew with us here on this Wednesday afternoon. He is Mel Kiper Jr. and Louis Riddick, two men who will be there in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in 64 days. I am Field Yates. Today we're going to do a deep dive into the 4 teams that have multiple picks, at least as of right now, in the first round. That includes the Jets, Browns, Rams, and Cowboys. We'll start in Dallas, who got their second first-round pick from the Packers in a trade you may recall. Micah Parsons went to Green Bay. So, Louis, apparently we all want to become carrots, as Jerry Jones described, teams that can turn things around. Considering how bad their defense was this past season and how they have yet another new defensive coordinator under head coach Brian Schottenheimer, does it make sense for them to go double-dipping in the first round on defensive prospects?
Yeah, I don't see any reason why that's something that should be out of the question, Field. I mean, you saw them all last year. They struggle at all 3 levels. They lack physicality at all 3 levels. They need pass rushers in particular on the first level. They need speed at linebacker. They need cover guys in the secondary. So for me, this makes you automatically start thinking about who are guys who are like physical at the first level. Look, that's Akeem Mesidor. Look, him and Ruben Bain, we saw how they terrorized college football this year. And the thing about Akeem is that he's an inside-outside player. He started off as a defensive tackle, cut weight, and then became a defensive end. So he's a guy who's a 3-down player who can then wind up being someone who can move inside and outside. And then when you're looking at in the secondary, when you look at a guy like Jermod McCoy, look, Jermod is one of those dudes who can play man in zone, press, or off. So really, he is scheme diverse. You don't have to kind of pencil him into being a man cover guy or a zone cover guy because he's got the instincts and the football intellect to do both. And these are high-level performers, and they need as many of them as they can get.
Louis, you're 100% right. When you allow 30 or more points in 9 games, the Dallas Cowboys have to address defense with both these picks. You mentioned speed at linebacker, versatility. A guy keeps getting better and better. A former safety by the name of Sonny Styles. He's number 7 on my big board right now. He led the Buckeyes in tackles with 82. That's 13 more than number 2 tackler, which, oh, by the way, was Arvell Reese, who could go 2nd overall in this draft. Sonny Styles, the former safety, keeps improving. This year was outstanding. All over the field, flying to the football. After the quarterback, great range as well. This kid is a heck of a player. And then defensive end at 20, you could have options. 2 of the 3 that I could see in the mix. When you look at Keldrick Falk, Zion Young, and Akeem Mesidor, who Lou mentioned, 2 of those 3 should still be there. They can go, obviously, linebacker at 12, then come back and get that pass rusher, maybe at that 20 spot.
So, Louis, let's talk about this Cowboys team a little bit further with some of the decisions they face this upcoming offseason. The Cowboys have a long history with players and using the franchise tag. They also have an equally long history with players on the franchise tag having knockdown, drag-out negotiations. We expect them to use that franchise tag on wide receiver George Pickens in a draft that we all agree is loaded at wide receiver. Is it a smart move for them to tag George Pickens, which inevitably is going to lead into a probably contentious negotiation?
Yeah, ideally, I don't think that's where they want to go, obviously, Field. I mean, they don't want to get into a situation where the player feels as though, look, I just had a career year for you. I led your team in receptions, reception yards, touchdowns. I mean, I did everything you asked me to do, and now you're going to tag me? But the problem here is, how does George value himself? On the open market, he is a $30 million per year plus player. He is a number 1 receiver for many teams, and if they let him hit the market, that's exactly what he would more than likely get. The problem is, CD is already making $34 per year. No team in the NFL has 2 wide receivers making $30+ million per year, and George, arguably deserves that. The closest is Cincinnati with T and Jamar. Yeah. So for him, I mean, they're in a tough spot. This is going to take a while because if you're him, why would you budge? But if you're Dallas, you got to try and protect the asset who obviously blossomed under your tutelage.
Yeah, you're trying to outscore people unless his defense gets better. When you're ready, he did have a career year, more receptions than he's ever had, more touchdowns, 9 than he ever had. You talk about the consistency week in and week out. 3 games with 9 catches, 1 with 8, couple with 7 receptions for Dak Prescott. He's going to be 25 years old in 2 weeks. He's still young. He's ascending. He keeps staying focused on the job at hand. You know what you have there as opposed to the draft where we know about the depth at wide receiver, but you still don't know for sure what you're getting. You know George Pickens, when he's focused on the job at hand and maximizes all that ability, he is a star.
I know that Jerry Jones would like it no other way, but man, would it be nice to see this team just get a negotiation past the finish line sooner rather than later, do it responsibly, and allow the team to attack the other priorities that they certainly have this offseason. Let's get to some news around the draft world. An Oregon left tackle, Isaiah World, will not be able to attend the NFL Combine after he tore his left ACL in the first half of the Ducks' playoff loss to Indiana in January. World, who was one of 9 Oregon Ducks to receive a Combine invite, is just outside Mel and my top 10 offensive tackle rankings. Other player news: Tennessee quarterback Joey Aguilar plans on attending the Combine while awaiting a ruling from the Tennessee County Judge on his eligibility for 2026. He only plans to attend for 2 days in order to not jeopardize his eligibility if he does, in fact, win his city he knows well. And he is the subject of our Real Talk today, Louis, our favorite news segment. It's a play that you just keep on watching some more. What do you got for us today?
Look, it's wide receiver Carnell Tate. When they visited Wisconsin this year, and you see him lined up in the slot, and you just see the actual diversity that he has in terms of his route running ability and his ability to track the football in the middle of the field here against cover 2, just splitting the safety and the Mike backer, the guy who's kind of carrying him down the seam. He's looking back in the sun here and goes up between both of them and makes a heck of a catch and gets whacked at the end. But just the high point skills, the catch radius, the toughness, the awareness to be able to come down inbounds, get his body down. These are the kind of things that really separate Carnell Tate from, a lot of the other wide receivers in college football, and why he's just going to go so high when any team would be lucky to have him on their football team. Just a spectacular play.
Wide receiver 1, great character. He blocks. He's unselfish, and he doesn't drop the football, Lou. Yeah. So your real question, in a year where we got a lot of good receivers, Jordan Tyson, Arizona State, outstanding player, Mekhi Lemon, USC. Carnell Tate's number 1 overall in terms of wide receivers.
Lewis, I think as we talk about Carnell Tate, the question is he worthy of being a top 5 to 7 overall draft pick? Do you see it within this class?
Yeah, I think one of the things that you're going to have to really take into consideration with him too is who he was tutored by. Okay, Brian Hartline's one of the very best, so he is pro ready. Brian has proven that with the guys he's already put into the league and how quickly they're able to adjust to the NFL game. It'll be no different with Carnell Tate. I wouldn't have any reservations at all picking him inside the top 5.
And by the way, that would make it 5 straight years for Ohio State with a first-round wide receiver if Carnell Tate does in fact go somewhere in the top 32.